Welcome in. It's Kirsten. Come on in. Facebook was slow this morning, like, and maybe it's YouTube. I don't know. But anyway, kind of slow start there for half a second. Oh my goodness gracious. Technology. How you doing? How you doing? Today we're going to tackle this topic, choosing the right protein, why vegans and dairy lovers have a tougher road. Actually have not done a live specifically about vegan, vegetarianism, and insulin resistance. And the reason why is because it's not my wheelhouse, right? Like, I'm animal based, but I do get a lot of questions and I get a lot of people that are having a hard time and they're just not maybe understanding. And you know what? Even Maria Emmerich said at one point, I don't remember, like, if this is one of her videos or something, she said, I started a vegetarian cookbook one time, but then I was like, I can't do it. Like, it's challenging, but there are some things that people could know that could really change their trajectory. And I don't want that to hinder people, but it will also help you to understand why maybe you are struggling and you didn't even know it. You didn't even know a couple tips and tricks. So that's what we're going to do today. How you doing? Labor Day is coming up. Very exciting. We all get to have a little 3-day weekend. Well, maybe not everybody, right? But most of us do. Good to see you. All right, we're going to jump right in today because, like, why wouldn't we? I mean, honestly, it's such a sexy topic, right? Let me see here. So hold on. Where do I want to start with you guys today? So you know what? This is the deal. So when we talk the difference between, remember when I talk food with you guys, I say no grains, no sugars, no legumes. And you're like, what? I'm like, I know, but I'm Italian. And if I can do it, so can you. And I really, really do mean that. And I know this is a source of confusion for so many. And listen, if you don't hear anything else, just know that a confused mind does freaking nothing. If you are confused, if you feel like you have too much noise going on with the information that you're getting from, like, different people's content or whatever, or somebody who's talking to people that are not insulin resistant. I mean, and if that's not you, this is why you're confused, because you're confusing the marketing of products, the marketing of different, like, agricultural divisions, industries, I should say, and maybe the information from other people that are just not aligning with your insulin resistant body. So they might not be even talking to you. And you're like, I'm so confused. I literally, what sparked this was somebody had texted me and said, trying to remember which one it was. There were two texts that came in. One says, you recommend a lot of animal products and I'm a vegetarian. And I'm like, I know. And as people say this to me, I'm like, this is why it can be hard. But even somebody had texted me and said, I have been doing a heavier meat keto diet for like a few months, but my insulin has gone up. And I'm like, we need to address, where are the other pieces of your puzzle? Okay, so let's fill in some pieces of your puzzle today so that you can, like, whatever, you're going to hit September like running. Okay, let's do that. All right. So meat versus, like, let's say even beans or something like that. Which proteins spike insulin and which don't? This is this should be a simple conversation, and yet, because we have Chipotle, we have up here in Minnesota, we have a restaurant called Pancheros. Does anybody have Pancheros instead of Chipotle? Or we have both, but, like, my husband loves Pancheros. Or we're eating all this hummus and we're thinking this is a really, like, it's a health food, right? Like, this is healthy and we're eating clean. Okay, things like that. If your healthy bowl keeps spiking, all the bowls keep spiking your continuous glucose monitor, it's not you, it's the protein source. That's why the CGMs can be very beneficial. Okay, but not everybody's going to have one. So that's why we do this in detail a little bit. So animal foods, which are protein that have almost no carbs, almost, not always, but beans and grains, they are protein that are literally wrapped in carbs. Okay, so let's stop guessing what spikes your insulin and look at literally the recipes, or look at, the actual food sources. So remember the translation. Overconsumption of carbohydrates over a long period of time coupled with a few other factors, they create this environment in your body where your cells are now resistant to insulin. And what that means is that you're spiking your sugars and you're giving your body energy. And no matter what you put in your mouth, including a piece of gum, are you tracking? Including a piece of gum or a mint or whatever, it's going to create an insulin response because it is the job of your insulin that is being released by your pancreas. Okay, this is my understanding, right? This is my best understanding. I'm not Maria Emmerich, okay? But I've studied her for a while. When your pancreas is releasing insulin, the job of the insulin is to choose the fuel source for your cell. So it's looking for fuel. It's like looking. And when you put something in your mouth and you eat it, your body's going to release insulin in order to go get the fuel that you just gave it. So that's why very few things do not call an insulin response. Very few things. Like water would not call on insulin. Black coffee, I don't think does. I guess maybe I haven't seen studies on that. So I don't know. I know that Maria Emmerich doesn't recommend coffee, but we're not going down that trail. Very few things are not going to call on insulin, but that's not a bad thing. That's how God made your body. Like he made it so that you'd be super efficient. Like your pancreas would go, ooh, fuel, release insulin. And insulin goes and it goes gobble, 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 gobble. It grabs like Pac-Man, waka, 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 grabs the energy and puts it into your cell. And then your body's like, yay, we have energy, woohoo. But when you are resistant, you're insulin resistant and your cell is like the door is closed and the lock got changed. And now insulin isn't the key anymore. Insulin's like, what? Well, what happened? What happened? Oh, maybe I didn't make enough insulin. It's going to make more insulin or release more insulin. And then maybe it's like, well, okay, I got to do something with all this extra fuel. Like I got to deal with the fuel and it's going to store it as fat. But what kind of fat? Does anybody remember? We talked about this a lot yesterday. What kind of fat? It's going to lay down the fat inside of your liver and around your organs, and it's going to be visceral fat. Visceral fat. This is the bad stuff, right? This is the stuff. It's emitting hormones and inflammation. Beep, 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 beep. You don't want any of that mess, okay? So that's what's happening. So let's get into why sometimes. Good morning, Patty. Oh, you got to be here for the live today, Terry. Yay. Good to see you. Very good to see you. But this is why then, like if somebody comes to me and they're like, but I'm a vegetarian or I'm a vegan, and I'm like, that's not my wheelhouse. But let's talk about why people that are like vegans, vegetarians, or really big dairy lovers might be having a harder time than other people. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Who's on here giving me wonderful hearts? Thank you. Bountiful Healing Type 2. Thank you for hearting my live. I appreciate you. So carbs are driving the biggest glucose and insulin surges. They just are, okay? Protein also triggers insulin. Like, don't get me wrong, it does trigger your insulin, but it raises glucagon too, which helps to keep your blood sugar stable. So in studies, pure protein raised insulin and glucagon without pushing glucose up very much. So this is why when we do meat and eggs, and like this morning for breakfast, what did I have? I had 3 eggs and a chicken sausage and an Oikos 000 yogurt. And I know not everybody's into the, like Maria Emmerich would not probably approve of the Oikos 000 yogurt, but it works for me. And so everybody has to kind of mess around just a tiny bit. Sweetened with stevia, so I do like that. But that's a lot of protein. That's 18, 30, 31, 40, 46 grams of protein for breakfast. So I got up this morning. I went for a walk, like 45 minutes. I had my breakfast, 46 grams of protein. I will be full, satiated, and like stable for hours. And the goal is to be full, satiated, and stable for 4 to 5 hours in between eating. Because every time you eat, insulin. And there are a lot of you that you reach out to me and you say, but I'm not pre-diabetic, but I'm not type 2, but I don't have high sugars. So everything's fine, right? Right? Not necessarily. I don't know. Have you had your fasting insulin taken? Because your conversation with me is insulin. We're going to talk insulin. Okay. All right. Which is the precursor. You can be insulin resistant for years and decades before it ever shows up in your sugars. I am living proof of that. Boy, am I living proof. I was gestational diabetic with my first baby, right? But I had obesity and type 2 all over my family. My dad died at 63, type 2 diabetes. So I do not, so I just kind of like took it as like, oh, well, it's genetic. Oh, well, okay, Sarah. Not true. So let's get into this. So not all proteins act the same. This is true. And so where are you getting your protein? If I had 46 grams of protein this morning for breakfast and it was made up of oatmeal and let's see, I'm going to have to stretch my brain now because I actually don't even know my grains for protein. Let's say I had oatmeal and a bagel. Would I do that? Maybe not, but okay, let's pretend. Oh my gosh, I'm going to spike my sugars to the moon. I'm going to call on massive amounts of insulin and I'm going to be hungry in an hour. Oh, and my belly's grow. My belly's going to like go. I'll probably be bloated, but then I'm also going to just start gaining weight because that's what's happening, right? So whey dairy is especially insulinogenic. Insulinogenic. Oh, I can't say the word today. I said it this morning to myself. I just want you to know that. I just, right now, right? Interestingly, using whey with or before a meal can actually lower the meal's glucose spikes by slowly gastric emptying and boosting incretins. And that's okay. I'm not going to worry about that one. But my point being that if you're doing a lot of whey, a lot of dairy, it's a little more insulin spiking than, let's say, an egg, poultry, right? Something like that. Whey can just do that, but it also can be used for, like, for instance, now I have a whey protein powder that's sweetened with stevia, super clean, grass-fed whey protein powder. I love it, but it is going to give me quick energy, right? Quick energy. Now, the protein ratios with the fat ratios and everything is really good. It's a great ratio, whatever, shake. But it does get into your system faster. So for people who are like heavy on dairy, that could be something that is slowing you down. The insulin and glucose response depends on the package of the protein with, the fat and fewer carbs and all of those things. Now, this is why I recommend animal products. Meat, fish, eggs, and most cheeses are high protein with minimal carbohydrates. Okay. So they generally won't. So funny. I think my iPad is sliding down. That is really funny. So TikTok, welcome to my world. That was hysterical. I'm like out of the corner of my eye. I think it's moving. Okay. I'll keep an eye on it so it doesn't go too, it's so bizarre. So they generally won't spike the glucose the way the starchier foods do. Protein still nudges insulin like a little bit, but usually without the big glucose rise. Okay. So let's compare. Let's do the comparison. 1 cup of cooked black beans, 41 grams of carbs. So how's your bowl working for you? I got to fix this is so funny. Hold on. I'm going to fix this. I'm not sure what's going on over there, but you guys are sliding down. That was funny. Okay. 1 cup of cooked black beans, 41 grams of carbs. 1 cup of lentils, 40 grams of carbs. Great foods for many goals, but when you're insulin resistant, the game changes. So we're going to change the game, right? Tough if you're trying to keep daily carbs low for insulin control. This is why vegetarians and vegans have a harder time. And this is why it's not my wheelhouse. I mean, I'm going to give you some tips anyway, but this is why I say grain-free, legume-free, sugar-free, because it immediately makes your life easier. Immediately. You're like, oh, okay. Well, instead of making refried beans, I'm going to make Maria Emmerich's refried beans using zucchini. And it tastes freaking amazing. I'm willing to do that because I don't want the sugar spike and I don't want the insulin call. And I'm trying to actually turn this back around. So you trade things out, right? You do things differently. Now, Dr. Ken Berry, the way that he would say things, these are really good third-party resources for you because it's helpful for you to have other people that can explain things to whatever scientific level you need to understand them, okay? But Dr. Ken Berry, he advocates for low carb. He calls it the proper human diet. I don't know if you've ever heard him talk about that before, but he often notes that meat raises insulin so modestly and way, way far less than carbs. I mean, you just can't even compare. That's why being animal-based is literally, I mean, I'm just going to say it. Like if I know that to somebody who is very, very against eating animals, they would not agree with me. But when it comes to turning back your insulin resistance, it's rather magical. This is why people who have Hashimoto's and they go carnivore, they get results because the inflammation in their body tanks. If you're eating grains all day for your protein, you're increasing the inflammation and you're increasing the insulin response in your body, and insulin response is inflammation. Not to mention a lot of other things, like, because just think about how it all matches up with diverticulitis and colitis and all sorts of things. So, I mean, there's a whole rabbit trail that we could go down with this. Maria Emmerich pushes total carbs, not net carbs. So anybody who's doing keto and you're thinking total carbs and blah, 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 like, or net carbs, stop, just stop. You're just trying to cut corners and you're creating more corners and it's not helping you. And you're wondering why you're kind of stuck, right? With protein as a goal. So she's high protein, and this is what I teach: high protein, moderate fat, and then very low carb. And when people stall counting net carbs, sometimes like from the legumes and what, no, don't. People say to me all the time, like, but what about low carb tortillas and zero carb tortillas? They're still grain. Or, but I eat gluten-free. Gluten's not spiking that's not the problem. Gluten's not your problem. Gluten is your problem if you have celiacs. Gluten is your problem if your gut is really messing you up. I do not know what's going on with my technology today. Gluten is your problem for a lot of other reasons, but it's not the problem for your insulin resistance. Your insulin resistance issue is the fact that you're eating, if you are, too much grain. Hold on. Good night, nurse. Good night, nurse. Do you hear that, people? I don't even know how to fix that at this point. We're going to be very creative. Here we go. I'm at least going to do that because then I know it's going to stay. So I know it's still low, but at least it's going to stay. So there we are. We're positioned. We are positioned. And then Dr. Eric Berg, ERIC, I really like his information as well, frequently calls out how certain proteins, especially whey, so kind of the dairy conversation, right? Can spike insulin more than expected. So useful nuance if shakes aren't giving you the results that you hope for. So if you're doing too much whey protein powder, etc. Okay. So if you're plant-based, it's not impossible, but you'll need to be a little more precise because plant proteins come bundled with starch. This is the issue. This is the big issue, right? So that's what we're doing. Hold on. Fana asks if, yeah, you know what, Fana? I don't know if you've jumped off her yet, not yet, but the replays will be right here on the page. If you're on my Facebook, come back to my page. It'll be posted later on when I'm done. Yes, Tina, I can send you the link for the whey protein. I will do that. Good morning, by the way. Good morning. Good morning. Yeah, and it's chocolate, vanilla, and strawberry. It's very good. You know, it's not the cheapest product on the market, but it is clean and it is so good. I mean, you know, if they say you get what you pay for, it's very good. The taste is amazing. It's not grainy or anything weird. Okay, so here we go. So for somebody who is like, you are either transitioning your food, so this is not just for the vegan or the vegetarian, et cetera. If you're transitioning your foods and you've been kind of like, this was me for 3 to 4 years, well, I'll have a little bit of sweet potatoes and maybe I'll, you know, I'm still being like, you know, whole food if I incorporate this, that, or the other thing. And I was living on the edges of my envelope. I was living on the edges and I was really frustrated. So if that's you because you haven't fully transitioned to grain, sugar, and legume free, or you're rewarding yourself too frequently, that was me constantly rewarding myself with things that weren't wise. So I had to change that. These are some things that you can do. So now, again, I'm just going to reiterate as I fix one more thing. I'm going to reiterate, this is not my wheelhouse. I am not a vegetarian. I've never been a vegetarian. I do not promote vegetarianism. for a lot of different reasons, but I do want to serve the person who is either making a shift or you have maybe done a little bit of everything. Like you've been incorporating a little bit of everything just because of the information. So you're kind of like, well, but I do still like to dip over here into the hummus, and I still like to, have my black beans with my chipotle or whatever it is. Okay. So as you're transitioning, and remember, this is your journey. You have to own your own journey. And whatever took me 3 to 4 years, I want it to go faster for you. So I will not lie. The people who go the fastest with me and my program are those who do make quicker decisions to transition their food, and they are on the total body reset. They by far get, I shouldn't say they get always the best, because that's not true completely, but they do get really substantial results that don't just include weight loss or losing meds, but they're losing so many inches, and like their body composition is changing in full. So I'm just wanting you to know that. So here we go. These are things that I really would not necessarily know about, right? So lower carb staples for somebody who is not animal based. Firm tofu, which I personally would have never eaten. Firm tofu, tempeh, and pea protein isolate, which is lower in carbs. So as opposed to, I'm going to assume a full grain protein powder, which I have never done. Legumes, make them way smaller portions than what you've normally been doing. And then maybe pair it with extra protein. And in fact, you should eat your protein first. And then like you can use a lupini bean instead of a black bean or something like that. It's a little lower, and notably lower in net carbs than most beans is what they're saying. But eat your protein and your vegetables before your carbs to blunt the glucose rise. This sequencing consistently lowers post-meal glucose insulin in trials. So protein first for sure, okay? The issue with, in my opinion, if everybody were thinking that way and trying to eat that way, it would make it significantly different and difficult. I have a friend who was more Mediterranean, which would then include more grains and legumes, right? And the way that she offset it, and it worked for her, was this particular product. This is a glucose product. And actually right now on the site, you'll see that it says, Joan, I will do that. Thank you for the doctors to be checking out. Yes, absolutely. Third-party resources are very, very important. These are people that I have learned from in order to give you information, because we need to know that there's an alternate universe out there, and you need to tap into it so that you can feel super confident in moving forward, right? So this particular product on the website, it's going to say that it's out of stock until September 8th. Okay. So I'm just going to give you a caveat here. I stock it in my home, and so I can mail it out if somebody needs it. But I'm just going to tell you what she did. So instead of taking one of these 3 times a day, she would take 2 of these every time she ate. And it offset her Mediterranean diet so much that within a few months, she lost 40 pounds because she brought her insulin down. She was insulin resistant, even though you would not have known that. She was not a chunky person. She was not seemingly overweight at all. But she found out, and her mother had previously passed from pancreatic C. Okay. So she was motivated to find out what her fasting insulin was, right? Because not only does, will fat get laid down inside of your liver, it'll get laid down inside of your pancreas. Okay. And around your organs. So anyway, so she was very motivated. So 2 of these every time she ate, because she was more Mediterranean, right? She was not doing what we've been doing, and it did offset. The other thing that could very much offset is a carb blocker. The other product that I have would be a carb blocker, and I use that for 3 to 4 years to transition my foods. And then the last thing would be, instead of thinking about, not everybody has to think about the total body reset, like I was mentioning, but I don't care if you're vegan, vegetarian, or you are doing what I teach, which is animal-based. Paying attention to and focusing on your liver and your gut is literally everything. because your liver governs your hormones, and insulin is a hormone. Your liver governs the glucose in your blood. Your liver governs whether or not you are losing any fat off of your body. So when you are frustrated, look inside, go deeper, go deeper. Okay. So like, for instance, when I talk about my liver reset stack, I'm just going to pull that out. I'm going to pull that right out of the total body reset. And the liver reset stack is the gut primer, the orange pixie stick for the visceral fat, and then the liver support, which is literally to support the detoxification of your liver. So those three together, that's the liver reset stack. Okay. So when you see that, like on my site is my first last name.com. When you see that, you will then understand what I'm talking about. But the point is that even if you are like, oh, I have like moral and religious beliefs against eating meat. Okay. Which is not me. That's not me. But if that is you and you need to figure this out, there is still a path. It's just different. You have to be very specific if you are going to continue to get your proteins from sugars, from grains, like, all of your oatmeals and your whole grain breads and all of these things. If you're going to do that with all of your legumes, it is going to make it harder. But you can still, if you are willing to target your system inside so that it can actually produce for you, you can make a difference. If you're willing to, even inside of your own parameters of food options, narrow that, even tighten that even more, like lower portions, smaller portions, or choosing a lupini bean over something else, or, there are different things that you can do. But it's just not I've never done it. So I'm speaking only from like a scientific conversation. I'm not speaking about my own experience at all, which is what I talk about every day, is my own experience. So your husband is vegetarian because he had 4 heart attacks and triple bypass surgery. His father died of heart disease. So he follows Dean Ornish's program. We eat opposite. Yep. See, and that's the deal, Patty. My belief, and you know what? God bless him. And he needs to follow his doctor, right? He does. But this is me. Dr. Eric Berg, Dr. Ken Berry, Maria Emmerich, Dr. Kiltz, who's a fertility doctor, heart surgeons that I follow. I should get the name of the guy. They all are saying the same thing. They're in unison. It is all of the high sugar spiking, whether it's from a grain or a grain of sugar, whether it's from a bean or see, what else would there be? I'm trying to think. Whether beans or any kind of legumes, grains, anything like that. Spike sugar, call on insulin, high inflammation. After a while, your sugars can't come down because you can't produce enough insulin because you're resistant, whatever. And it's causing all of the heart issues. So when I look at my husband, I rebuke that. When I look at my dad's journey, they told him, eat the Cheerios and drink the skim milk and all. No, it was the opposite. He should not have been doing that because that was actually causing the issues in his body. Now, I understand, like I said, people have to follow what they're going to follow, but there are heart surgeons out there who will tell you, listen, I'm a heart surgeon. Let's talk about carnivore, because it is such a low inflammatory diet, right? But everybody has to. That's why this can get to be a convoluted conversation. And I stay in my lane as much as I possibly can, because I want people to not be confused. But I also do want to have a moment where people can have hope, and they can understand how the body is responding when you are insulin resistant. And people have different factors. Your ship looks different than my ship, which looks different than Patty's ship. That's how that goes. We're all turning around a ship. I turned around my insulin resistance starting in my upper 40s. Because of it, I lost 3 sizes in my 50s. I'm the only person in my immediate family to have avoided type 2 diabetes. And I'm not on any meds, and I'm 60. I'm living the exact opposite life of my father's life. bypass surgeries, emergency angiograms, kidney dialysis, lazy Susan full of medication, feeling like trash, putting insulin in his body. I'm living the exact opposite. I got up this morning and I took a walk, and then I heard somebody say, you don't understand how much your body works for you until, and how did it go? I posted it in my story. You don't realize how much your body is working for you until it doesn't work anymore. She's actually a hospice nurse. And she said the biggest regret that I hear people talk about is that they wish they would have understood and been grateful in the moment for the food that they could have eaten, because now maybe they don't have an appetite anymore because they're on hospice, right? This is her story. Because they're not hungry anymore, or if they are hungry and they eat it, it doesn't taste the same anymore. They wish they would have been grateful for that. And they wish that they would have been grateful for things like taking the stairs or being able to move without pain or whatever it was. She said those are the biggest regrets that she hears about. You don't hear a lot of regrets in general just because you're very focused on pain management. You're very focused on bodily functions, daily bodily functions with them. So it's not like the conversation is lending itself to these long, dissertations on, what they regretted. But she said, I'll get little snippets of them saying, oh, I wish that I could take the stairs like I used to, or I wish I could walk as far as I used to, or whatever it is. And those are the things. And so your body is working for you every single day, every day. And so I got up this morning, and this is just a true story. I did not want to go for a walk. And this has been kind of happening to me lately where I'm like, I'm just not in the mood. I'm not in the mood. But I know that once I get out there, I'm just so happy. I'm so happy because I'm in Minnesota and the sun is shining and it's warm. I mean, it was 55, but I'm wearing a sweatshirt, but still, like, it's beautiful. And when it's 20 below out in January, I'm not going to want to walk, right? So I push myself out the door, and then I'm so happy because I got sun on my face and whatever. But the biggest feeling that I have is an overwhelming sense of gratitude that my legs can work for me, that my body can actually take that walk, that I can actually move. There are so many people that can't for whatever reason. And when I heard her say that this morning, I said, that's exactly what that is. You don't know how much your body is working for you right now, to whatever degree it is, until it doesn't work for you anymore. And it's like, we have to take that really seriously, right? So no matter what your journey is, I'm going to wrap up with this. It's like, whatever your journey is, do it really well and use information like this in order to propel your body to give you results. And if it's not giving you the results that you want, pay attention to other factors. If you are a meat heavy keto person and you're like, but it's not working for me. Number one, maybe you haven't given it long enough. But number two, what are the other factors in your life? How are you sleeping? How is your stress? Are you eating too much dairy? Are you are you eating nuts all day long? What are some of the other things that you may be doing that are just keeping you right on the edge of actual success in whatever success is for you? Okay. So just know that, yep, you know what? You're learning a new language. Yeah. You're going to have to tweak a few things. Yeah. You're going to have to assess your body a little bit. Yeah. You know what? The hardest thing is probably going to be up here and in your heart. It's going to be way harder than taking these supplements that I'm talking about. So, oopsie. There we go. Dropped it. So it's going to be, this is the easy part. This is easy. This is super easy. You actually even get paid back to do this. You get paid back. Nobody else is doing that. That's the easy part. The hard part is definitely overcoming your own limiting beliefs, overcoming the story and the narrative that was a part of your childhood, overcoming your heart connection to comfort food. But we do it without shame in my world. Okay? We do it without shame. So if you have any questions, let me know. You can always reach out to me. If you want to know about the liver reset stack, here, I'll take those 3. If you want to know about that, just tell me liver reset and I will understand, or liver stack, liver reset stack. It's the gut primer is the powder, the liver support, and this is the orange pixie stick that literally targets the visceral fat. And I'm going to remind you, the testimony that I've been giving you this week, she texted me last week. Over the last year, as she's made her choices, she's doing a few things more than that, but that's the base foundation. Her MRI results on her fatty liver went from bad to mild. So this can change for you. That doesn't include all of the inches she's lost, 6, 5, 3, the 17 pounds, the A1C down, doesn't include all of that. But if you want to get actual results, things that actually target, do you know that you're very familiar with those three? Oh, I don't remember what I said, Patty. Doggone it. Oh, with those doctors. Yeah. Oh, got it. Yes. I know. Good. Oh, I was going to bring you one other thing. What was it? Oh, it's right there on the tip of my brain. It's right there. It's okay. It must not have been very important. But doing something like that, you can, I know what it was. I had somebody reach out to me. This is a little side note. Not all supplements are made the same, right? Can we agree that what you probably get at Walgreens is probably a different quality? I'm just saying, I can't prove it. I haven't done the studies, but I'm just saying, most likely. A lot of supplements that you are being recommended to by your doctor, if you're picking them up at a pharmacy, they're being made by a PHARMA company. Okay, because they've got their hands on both sides. There's a big difference when you talk about somebody who is actually doing all of their organic farming, and they are the safety measures that they take, the purity measures that they take. I don't know if you ever know what third-party testing means, but third-party testing means that that a third party comes in and they test every single pill inside of a bottle to make sure that one pill isn't 10% of the active ingredient and one pill is 40% of the active ingredient, etc., that there are no inconsistencies. Okay. So subjected to third party testing, but I just had somebody text me the other day and she said, I tried somebody else's adaptogenic herb, and I'm not even talking about adaptogenic herbs here. So just bear with me, but this was her thing. Why did that make me jittery and crazy? I had to come back to yours. And I said, I don't know. I don't know where their caffeine source was from. I don't know, right? Like, there's no way for me to know. But I'm telling you, if you are like, listen, I hear this a lot. I take everything you're recommending and it's still not working for me. Okay. Quite possible. I'm not going to show you a surprised face because I have zero idea the efficacy or the potency or the third-party testing or the clarity I have no idea what level of science-backed anything. The one that's my favorite, it's out of stock again until September 8th. And it's we can all sit around and feel frustrated about that, right? It's the glucose one that when it came back into stock at the beginning of August, I had women buying 7 bottles of it. It's a really great product for a lot of reasons. And it's the one that lowers your sugars and your insulin and your sugar cravings and your appetite. But they will not fill in with any ingredient. They will not do that. It's just, so it goes in and out of stock. It just kind of does. I inventory it in my home so that I can service y'all, so that I can be there for you. Done that for 1.5 years now for you guys. I've got your back. I've got you. But you have to understand, they're not going to just grab an ingredient. You literally have to be a certified farm to even present an ingredient for them. They have their own. They're the only company that has their own organic farms, and they harvest their own stuff. They are the only one like in the world. But if you are a partner farm, you have to be certified. So I'm just telling you, when there's an ingredient hiccup, no, I don't like it either. I don't like it for you that you feel like there's maybe, it's like, doggone it, but you have to understand, why do you think it works so well? Just bringing that up. Melissa, I'll send you the 3, and the one is, hold hold on. Are you the one that said? Okay, so Melissa, two different. Oh no, there's two Melissas. Oh, that's hilarious. I have Sasala and McCoy. Okay, McCoy. I will send you the trio, the 3 supplements with the 3 ingredients that help with insulin sensitivity. That's where I started, you guys. That's all I did. And it helped me to lose my 3 sizes in my 50s. One of them is out of stock right now, Melissa. That's the one I have inventoried in my home. So what happens with that is that you end up purchasing the other 2, register with your name, don't check out as a guest. You end up purchasing the other 2, and then the other one, the last one, which is $26, and then there's tax and whatever. That's your range, under $30. You'll purchase it from me and I will ship it out to you. I just shipped one out this morning. So anyway, I'm just telling you because I'm trying to like help you to know. I will do that, Kathy. I'll send it to you also. So, all right. Have such a great day, you guys. And I will be back tomorrow at 11 a.m. Central Standard Time. And if you have questions, ask me questions. Like get into my inbox, jump into my messenger, get into my Instagram DM. And I work really hard to stay on. I work hard to respond within a 24-hour period of time. I'm kind of always playing a little catch up, but that's okay. Like I'm not mad about it. I'm just wanting you to know that I really am working to get back to your questions as fast as I can. I am. You are welcome, Melissa. So every day we kind of do the same thing and then I play catch up and then we go again. So I'll see you tomorrow at 11 a.m. Central Standard Time. Have the best day ever on the face of the planet. Okay. Jesse, I will respond to you, Jesse. I will give you, because I would recommend the Total Body Reset, which is what I was just talking about. There are 6 products in that one. One of them is out of stock, but that is both fatty liver and bringing down your sugars and your insulin, et cetera. But it's all connected. Don't be confused. This is all one conversation. I may have different stacks or different, like, the trio was something in the Total Body Reset, but the trio is inside of the Total Body Reset. This is all connected. This is very streamlined in conversation, very streamlined. And I'm just helping you decide where you want to start. Okay. Where you want to start for yourself, for what your needs are, for what your budget is, et cetera. And then we move forward. But I also will then resource you with food help. And I have a Facebook group and I've got all the things. Okay, Kathy, I will do that. And Jesse. All right. You guys are making me work today. Happy to do it. Happy to resource people. So let's go. Let's get people's life back on track. Okay. All right. I will see you tomorrow. Have the best day ever.